Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Pundit. My name is Scott Morgan Ruff, the Motor City Madmouth, and the title of this is very appropriate for what we're talking about. Does common sense exist anymore? Oh, Nelly, as the old legendary Keith Jackson would say. Oh, Nelly, I get louder, but no, folks, I haven't had as much caffeine as I should. Okay.
Oh, you should stay away from it.
Yeah, my cutoff point was early, so don't worry about it. Right. We have a great show lined up. We're going to be talking about Kimng, the Illinois High School Association, as well as ATP player Reilly Opelka. We'll also have some pundits views to go along with it as well. So, with that said, let's get this party started. We're going to talk about Kimng, for whom the Marlins did pick up her mutual option. Okay, but she said, I don't want to go out there and work under nobody. Well, you know what? I know a lot of people want to say, oh, the Marlins made a mistake, but you know what? Put on the brakes. I'm going to give you a reason why. I don't know if it's a mistake or whether it was or not, but let me break down some things here under the Kimng reign. First of all, her record in free agency was simply abysmal. Adding avisailgarcia, johnnycueto, jeansegura, not very good. Jorgesoler started out with a rough year, but did make it. 2023 was a good season, but he's been injury prone. The farm system declined. Draft choices were poor. Jacobberry, the 6th overall pick in 2022, was a bust. kahlilwilson, 16th pick overall, 2021, was traded. Joemack, 31st pick in 2021, has with a 217 average throughout his minor league career, not very good. However, I also believe you have to look at the other side. The good moves she made were luizarraez. Of course, we know that was a good win-win situation when you have pablolopez involved, where the Twins made out all right too. And then you have jakeburger, a trade deadline move. And of course, joshbell, that worked out well. The team finishes with an 84 and 78. And the hiring of skipschumaker turned out to, so far, has been a good move. But brucesherman picked up her option. She didn't want any part of it. So that sets everything up so you can look at both sides and formulate your own opinion. With that said, George, some thoughts on Kimng.
Well, I appreciate all the research you did, Scott, but when Sherman let her go, he made this comment. First female GM in all of baseball history. Unbelievable. And all the moves, he says, and all the trade moves have been excellent. So there's a little bit of disharmony going on right here. I know that she was very close to Jeter, and Derek Jeter, of course, was super excited when Kim came on board. And we know Derek also left the Marlins organization. So where there's smoke, there's fire. Obviously, there's some things going on in that office and the administrative ranks that is not going well. You cited some, Scott, the farm system and all that. But I got to tell you this. You got guys like in Detroit, Avila, who was around for year after year after year after year before they pulled the plug on him. Again, I'm not trying to say get rid of the general manager after he's there 7-8 years. I'm not advocating that. I'm just saying that I don't feel she got a long leash. But that being said, a lot of the decision, like you said, on exercising that option, she says no. So there's a elephant in the room here, and I don't know what it is, but there's an elephant in the room here. If there's something that really bothered Sherman, he is hiding it, because the official word, like I said, he says, and all the trade moves have been excellent. Although he did not mention the farm system or the scouting department. It's a big job, no question about it. And you're right, Scott. I mean, you got to be successful in not only the on-field product, but what's going on in the scouting and in the minors, of course, and development of these players. So I still think she's great. I still think she's going to land on her feet. She was not happy about having any responsibilities taken away from her. And for that, I cannot blame her at all.
But you cannot miss on first-round picks, period.
True.
You cannot. You can miss on a lot of them, but don't miss out on a first round pick. That gets you out of there very quickly. That's all I'm going to say. And listen, I work with Kiming, very knowledgeable person, always very cooperative with me when I needed to talk to her. I have the utmost respect. Her baseball credentials are incredible. She'll size up what there is out there, and I believe she'll land again. And I'll tell you, if you finish 84 and 78 with the Marlins and you're able to hire a young guy like Schumacher, much less get into the playoffs, under that situation, the chances of you getting rehired are very good. All right, Denzel, you've been patient on this. Give me your take on Kiming.
I'm as George alluded to, the first female general manager, and he made mention of her, having like this short leash, and I don't know why it comes to mind. I don't know why Mike Tomlin comes to mind here, okay? And reason being is because of what has been discussed between myself, Jacob, Scott, George, about minority coaches. The same can be said about Kim Ng's kind of a double going on here because she's a minority and she's a female. You see what I mean? So that leash is getting just a little tighter. Crazy part is as you mentioned, they opted to bring her back, but she said no. And doing my research, she actually had a disagreement over reshaping the baseball operations department.
Right.
She wanted full control. And I honestly don't blame her for leaving, because sports-wide, you have to let a general manager do a general manager's job. Either they're fit for the job or they're not, okay? Yes, absolutely. Whiffing on first-round draft picks will strike you out. Absolutely. The crazy part is they still opted to bring her back. It was her who said that she wanted to leave. And I guess two things can be true here, because she leaves after a rare winning season. They made the postseason, the team that they put together has actually been pretty good this year by my eyes, even if by the standard baseball eyes, it's like, well, it's not really that good, but also it's been the Marlins in recent years. They've been pretty bad prior to this year, Right. So this year, some can say, even with the moves that she made prior to this year, that the Marlins actually overachieved. I don't think anybody saw last year that they were going to make the playoffs. Then again, it's baseball, anything can happen, right? No one saw the Phillies last year. No one saw, all kind of parameters, right? But I don't blame her for departing because you got to let a general manager do his job. You're like, okay, look at like Bill Belichick, right? And I'm not talking about like this year's or in the last 2 years when he's worn both hats. And Robert Kraft just let that man do his job, and it led to 6 Super Bowl titles. You got to let a general manager do their job. I think that by not letting her do her job to the fullest extent by essentially putting a microscope on her, she got a short end of a stick. If you're going to put somebody in the position, you got to let them do it. Everyone hates a micromanager, unless you're a micromanager yourself. But everyone hates a micromanager. No one likes to work handcuffed or anything like that. So again, I agree with her departure by her terms. She will land somewhere, and best of luck to her. I think there's going to be brighter days ahead for her. Say she lands. A question for you, Jacob. Say she lands on a Chicago Cubs. You think she improves the team?
Yes, absolutely. Mind you, the thing is, here's the thing about this, though. If she screwed up remember, the Cubs, you pretty much have a really, really, really good farm system. Mm-hmm. They pretty much have it right now. If she screwed that up, she'd have the same part. But here's the thing I was bringing up. Yeah, you guys have heard me before. I was 1 year off of this. Hi, Motor City Scott. What's up, Darlene?
Hey, Darlene, I love hearing people from my neck of the woods. All right, Darlene, God bless. And let me say this before I interrupt you. I put out on Facebook the other day how many people want to see me write a baseball book and more. And my goodness, Darlene jumped on there, do it, and we'll buy it. So there you go, Darlene.
Yeah.
God bless and love you. Sorry.
I forgot about Kneecap Biter. Thank you very much for coming in. Appreciate you.
You're the best, Darlene. Okay, go ahead.
All right. And Jeremy, good evening, gents. What's going on? No, I was a year off. But remember, I was thinking that she's going to have, if she didn't have another win. Here's the thing. I said if she didn't have another winning season, I thought she's gone in 2 years because of Jeter. You brought that up, Denzel. You brought it up, George.
Yeah.
Jeter. I was bringing up the whole thing with Jeter. I didn't think she had past 2 years. She got one more. But I was saying short leash. I was saying if she didn't have a winning season, she's out anyway. And it's like, and I think I know the things that you were saying, Scott, but to me, I said you got to get yourself a winning season. Whatever you do your things with and she did well with the free agency, did well with the trades, did well with what she needed to. But to be able to say this and get a rare winning season and then say, oh, we're going to have someone over you. Yeah. You might as well have said it. Why didn't you say that in the first place? Like when she was starting. That's all I was saying. This is all I'm saying with something like this. If they were doing this and she didn't want that, then why didn't they do it first when she wanted the job? This looks like the thing is, really, you want to know what they're using the excuse, I believe it's in my head, when they got rid of Mike Hill after he got to a playoffs.
Right.
Well, I believe they're going to use that because, we got rid of him. Huh?
You want to go that far, you might as well talk about Joe Girardi winning Manager of the Year. And they got so I know how this organization operates.
Oh, sure. But I believe that's what the excuse they would say. See, we got rid of Mike Hill, and you got rid of Mike Hill because Derek Jeter wanted Kiming in there. But he was gone. I felt like that her days were numbered. She's got another year. They even took back her option, and she didn't want it because, truthfully, we're looking at the Caleb Williams deal. We'll talk about that another time. We're looking at this whole Caleb Williams deal. Young people, or everybody, like whether it's a young black quarterback or a woman GM, they're not just saying thank you for the job anymore. Thank you, everything like that. They're going for it all now. They want it all, and they're going for it now. And it's like everybody's going for they're taking home run shots now, just because they know they might not have a chance if they just kind of sit there and wait.
Right.
All right, let me point out some here so everybody knows. First of all, Pundit's Pundit being broadcast around the world. The audio version of Pundit's Pundit can be heard on iHeartRadio, Apple, Spotify, Google, wherever you get your podcast. Please hit the red subscribe button on YouTube, South Florida Tribune. We're striving for 1,000 subscribers. Please also comment, like, and share the broadcast. Want to be a guest? No problem. We'll take it. Just participate in the chat room. Also, send your topic ideas to southfloridatribune@gmail.com. If you want to advertise cost efficiently, call me at 954-304-4941. We broadcast live on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and YouTube. Website, www.southfloridatribune.com. Twitter, @Tribune South. Candy Edling's behind the scenes, producing, whatever. And you know what, Darlene? I'm planning on writing a book. I'm already doing the preliminary stuff on it. But right now, in the meantime, I will be having, Darlene, a book released in the next couple of weeks or so called Lessons from the Microphone. And I repeat, Lessons from the Microphone, tuning into the enduring wisdom of visionary leaders. So, Darlene, there's a lot of baseball stories in there, but I'm going to be working my tail off. One of my goals for 2024 is to write the baseball book that I've talked about. So stay tuned, Darlene. But thanks for your interest. I really appreciate you anyway. So wanted to get that out there. And I should add one more point, Jacob, before we go to another topic.
Sure.
Okay. One, I'm only going by the facts that I've told you. And the one thing we can't lose sight of was Sandyalcantara got busted up, okay, toward the end. He'll be out for 2024. So he had a down year off of a Cy Young Award. So I think Kim did a fine job. I mean, other general managers have gotten longer leashes. But, you know, the one thing that people have to understand is this. And this is one of the things that will also decide to let people know if you're getting hired or not. If you leave a situation better than you did when you inherited, well, let me tell you, people look at it. But then we'll take better to the second power. I'm not no math person, okay? Better to the second power because you did it with the Miami Marlins and trying to get them over. Yeah, right. And if you're getting over 1 million fans there because you're doing well, then let me tell you, every baseball person out there will definitely look and talk to you. She'll have to just sit back, reset a little bit, decide what move she wants. Thanks, Darlene. I appreciate it for staying tuned. There'll be a lot more, and we're going to be talking about my book as we get closer to it as well. So, all right, with that said, I'm going to turn it over to Denzel. Go ahead, Denzel.
All right, and then right before I go to the next topic, I would say, you know, they would love her on the Pittsburgh Pirates. They need some sort of some spark or something. And shout out to Jordan Pennington, Pittsburgh native and Pirates fan, because we talk all the time, and he's wanting so bad for the winning days of the Pirates to come back. Of course, that was back when that was little Barry Bonds, back in the early 90s and such. But yeah.
Pirates would give her the whole power.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. They would actually let her do it. So maybe she should head up north. I don't know. But we're going to go into our next topic here, and that is ATP player Reilly Opelka calling for an Adderall ban. So his last appearance, he played in the 2022 City Open. He lost to Nick Kyrgios in straight sets in the third round. In an interview afterwards, he actually compared Adderall to steroid use, and he was saying, what is it? Why is a tennis player using Adderall for the first time in their life? It alludes to building strength, and also he called it legal doping. And I do see the correlation there. You weren't prescribed this as a kid or anything like that, so you suddenly you become a tennis pro, and now all of a sudden you're taking Adderall. It's definitely suspicious. And you know what? The way that they're cracking down on sports nowadays, I can see something opening up in the future about Adderall use amongst players, especially if it becomes more relevant. He essentially let the cat out of the bag on this one. But swing it over to Jacob, and then your thoughts about this.
Well, here's the thing. It's like when you're playing Nick Kyrgios. When you're playing a Nick Kyrgios, it's like, you could either get his best or his worst. So it's like he obviously got the best. But the biggest thing about this is I play tennis. It is a high, when you're at that speed and you play someone with that kind of thing, you have to have the highest of concentration, complete concentration. Here's the thing they're also trying to do is it also raises heart rate. It also raises their concentration mode. These are guys that do want to be able to win in these tournaments, and they want to they're going to be facing a Federer at the time before he retired, facing a Djokovic, facing a Nadal, facing a Yannick Sinner, facing a yellowcards, facing all these guys now, and it's like these are the very, very best, and it's like these are guys that are naturally these are guys that are probably naturally already focused,
right?
They're probably already, so you're trying to get to that. At the same time, we are feeding these kids Adderall in school. And it's like the thing is, how do you get rid of it if you can't get rid of it on tour? Mm-hmm. And it's like they're trying to sit these, they're trying to have a full focus at all times. When that kind of focus is nothing but getting more kids, instead of that kind of focus is not for what they're looking for. It's not for the entrepreneurs. Right. And not for the kids. The ones that's for the entrepreneurs are where their heads are all over the place. Yeah. Like, you don't mind. It's like it's for that, and they don't want that. They want you sitting there all day long, and that's what the Adderall do, get you the focus. You get to the thing for that kind of thing. But the thing is, it's only one match. They're also worried about these things. So I'm in agreement with Reilly Opelka on that. And the thing is, they probably needed to face him because he's 6'11" with a serve. Yeah. So there's the focus they're trying to probably look at. But still, I'm kind of in agreement with him there.
I mean, and another thing is something like this, should it blow up, it could be lucrative. I'm just giving an example here, okay? But if I were one of those guys, because we've all seen the dark side of sports, right? Mm-hmm. If I were one of those guys that just had a bag full of cocktails, and I'm hearing about this Adderall thing, I've got money bags in my eyes, Yeah. You Adderall? Oh yes, absolutely, I can get it. It could become lucrative as well. And I want to take it to George and get your thoughts about this. Legal doping, do you agree?
Well, the kid's from Michigan, so I like him. He's very outspoken, and he brought up a subject that really needs to be addressed. Okay, so as you mentioned, ADHD, which a lot of the children are on in school, and this is kind of an exemption, I guess, when you play tennis. You can't have it both ways. If you're going to try to have anti-doping in the sport of tennis, you got to come up with some kind of formula. I mean, they're letting this go on, and they're not doing it consistently. It's not fair to the other players who are not taking any kind of, drugs, if you want to call them. So what I get out of this story is that, he's a brave man for bringing this up, and he's harping on it. He's not one of the top ranked in the world anymore. It says that he was number 17 in February of 2022, and he's dropped quite a bit since then out of the top 100. But it's something that he feels passionate about, and obviously spoke up against it. And the fact of the matter is that this exemption thing kind of makes it illegal doping in a way. So I don't blame him for being upset about it. And like you said, Jacob, I mean, it helps them out in the first game or the first set even. I mean, it's not fair. It's not fair for people like him that are playing it clean.
Yeah.
But it does bring up what you said about the overall tendency is to give our children, if they have ADHD or whatever they're diagnosed with, drugs. And I've seen it. I know it happens. It happens all the time. And, it's bound to go into the sports world. It's bound to run into the, tennis game and other sports as well. But people who do suffer from that really need it, obviously, I'm not bashing that at all. But once you cross that line and now you're into competitive tennis or any other sport, it's extremely unlikely that the playing surface, pardon the pun, is going to be smooth and 100% for everybody.
Right. Absolutely. It's one of those things where, and Jacob brings up Federer. There's some people that you train to play tennis and they can be very good. Then there's some that are just born to swing a racket. Your Williams sisters, your Federers, your Agassiz, and and it's almost like, wow, like in order to catch up to these guys, I got to take this stuff,
Right.
And at the end, what's it going to cost? Because all it does is add, and Jacob, we do the pro wrestling show all the time. They get addicted to painkillers. Well, this is no different.
Mm-hmm.
This is no different. You're pumping your liver full of pills, and in the end, you're going to pay for it. But I want to round this out with Scott and get your thoughts about this. Legal doping, agree or disagree?
I'm not thrilled about it either, but let me take you off a little bit, tennis, for a moment. You know what wrecked bicycle racing? The Tour de Farce, okay? This kind of stuff. I call it the Tour de Farce, not Tour de France, okay? Just so you know. And why? Now you don't know who's legal and who isn't until they end up losing altogether. So legal or not legal, all I can tell you need an even playing field. You have to regulate it, period. And either you're buying into it or you're not. You can't play different. Why do you think baseball is in the bit of trouble it was during the steroid era, right? Because some guys are using it, some don't. And then you're talking about numbers and records, right?
Right.
You follow me?
And halls of fame.
When you have records and numbers, then you ask your question, the other L word. What about legitimate?
Right.
Well, here's the thing. Let me say this real fast. I apologize to Denzel.
That's all right.
Let me say this. We keep hearing about, let's go to baseball for a second. We keep hearing Ted Williams, all that. Remember how they showed his every little area. There's that little chart of every little area that he's in. The red. It's like blue way deep down at his feet, and he's like 239. Just something absurd with how good his eye was. And it's like outside of something that would probably pep him up, maybe like if he was tired after an all-nighter, everything like that. These are times. Where is our real concentration? Where's our natural concentration? Now, where is that? You're talking about. Look at how many of these guys. I mean, you get a Jerry West. So let's get a Ted Williams. Let's get all these guys. I mean, okay, we'll say Elgin Baylor. We'll say any of these. What happened to our natural ability to be able to focus?
All right, but here's the thing, Jacob. Okay, that's a good point, but here's where we're going to differ on this one. Okay, We're talking about the athlete of yesteryear, and today's athletes are bigger and stronger compared to what we have across the board for the most part. So I completely understand where you're coming from. And the one thing is social media, your favorite occupation, right, Jacob? Media, how much you really like.
Oh, I love it. Totally.
Oh, I know you do. That's why you're part of it. The insanity with all of us. Okay.
Yeah.
But the reality is we're all talking about it. and it's not going away. It's not like things go away anymore because nobody's there to pay attention to it.
Yeah.
Everything's all magnified.
It just shows. It just shows, though. It shows where, I mean, they talk about what was better now than then. What's better then was our natural of everything, concentration.
Right.
Like I'll just go back to the 40s, for instance. They went to war. You bring these kids to war at 18 years old. They're going to the war, and then what do they do? Come home 4 years later. They've got a couple of kids. They got to go to work, probably at the factory or something, the car factory or something. They go there. They've got 4 kids by the time they're 31, 32. They've had some shell shock, PTSD, now we'll call it. Right. They had that. But then you did drink, and yeah, you had your nightmares, and you had all that thing, but you had to focus on your family. You had to focus on making money. You had to focus on paying bills. The focus was singular. But now we have so many distractions now that it just affects the brain.
It does.
All right.
And
it does affect the brain. There's no question. Just about everything you do affects the brain, right? Think about it. I mean,
Mountain Dew affects Scott's.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, yeah. No, you know that, Dan? I mean, come on. But think about this for a second. And I'm not joking around about this, even though I like to joke 90% of the time. Anybody bothers to take me seriously. But I'm at the doc today, okay? Getting an update from my surgery about a couple of weeks ago. And, recovering well. But now I got to go back on more antibiotics so we're not more complications. But you know what I told the doc? And here's what happened with my procedure. It was supposed to be an outpatient deal, okay? I was in there 3.5 days. But, the doc understood. So, you know what happened? I ended up having a lot of painkillers just to get through a very complicated procedure that turned out due to a lot of infections. So while I understand there's a need, okay, for certain things, and I'm being without those pain medicines, and I had them all during that 3.5 days. Halloween came early for me, and my wife was there to watch every last bit of it. But it was a painful surgery, so I'm not trying to satirize it and joke around about it. While I understand what you guys are talking about legalizing drugs, it still comes down to making sure the playing field is level, and you're going to get opinions on both ends. That's why we're talking about it tonight, right?
Yeah,
for sure.
We can painfully agree or disagree. It doesn't matter. But the subject was good enough to make this magazine-style show. Period.
Oh, and it's like we don't have to. It's like we agree a lot, but we don't have to agree on everything. My main thing with it, it's like if there's one thing that I'm going to say that's better in the old days, I say a lot of things that are better now. But I'd say that the better of the old days, I'll look at a Ted Williams forever, and I say the only thing he's taken is if he had an all-nighter and he's taking some pet pills. But it's like there isn't that many things around back in the time. There's just at natural ability because there wasn't the same distractions. You just looked. You just looked and you hit the ball, and then we had way more 300 hitters, way less strikeouts.
Right.
Way less strikeouts, and it's like I don't think the strikeouts will go away now in this era because everything is in people's heads. 50,000 things are in people's heads. The one thing that's in people's head in that time: swing the bat.
And another angle comes to mind also if we're on the topic of competitive advantages here, right? So, people talk about Barry Bonds because I wonder if this is going to be like a pick and choose type of deal because people like to talk about Barry Bonds. Oh, well, he got all his records. Remember when Judge got that record last year and people were saying, oh, well, Bonds is still the home run king. Oh, well, he was juiced up. But it was legal at the time period. But people wanted to throw asterisks on his record. So if this Adderall thing blows up, and while they're taking it while it's legal, in 10 years or 5 years when they finally make it illegal, when some record hits, it's like, oh, well, we got to put asterisks on the ones that took Adderall. The funny part is absolutely nobody was saying let's put asterisks on any pitcher during the dead ball era back when the spitball was legal. Right. No one brings it up. No one mentions it. No historian, nothing. So I wonder if this is going to be a pick and choose type of deal.
Well, you know what? I'll tell you what, Jacob. Go to the chat room.
Yep, let's do it.
Okay, there you go.
Dollars drives pharmaceutical companies. That is absolutely true.
That's it.
There you go.
Yep.
Your answer is in the chat room there, guys. It really is.
Why are we closing so many CVS, Rite Aid, and Walgreens then? If pharmaceutical.
Well, there's a lot of online buying too. That's the unfortunate part.
True. A lot of people get it mail order. That's true.
Yeah, that's the unfortunate part.
I digress. Sorry.
Except for people
No.
like you,
Keep
George,
it
in
digress. We need to
Detroit.
move the thing.
All you have to do in Detroit, if you can't get them there, just go to Canada. Okay.
Yeah,
You get 'em
yeah.
there.
Hey, right across the river.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right across the Detroit River. All right,
Don't
one
forget
last
you gotta
topic.
claim them. You gotta claim them though with the border crossing.
Yeah, well,
Yes,
we'll
yes,
see.
you do.
You
Or
got to be good at it too. Although I
Yeah.
haven't been there in a while, except the last time I was with you. All right,
Well,
one more topic to go, Denzel. Right before we go to
we do-
Pundit Views. All right,
We do
go ahead.
have one more topic. So the IHSA bans Carmel High School from the soccer tournament for excessive yellow cards. So IHSA rules state 25 yellow cards in a regular season could result in a post-season ban. And there apparently is a double standard between private and public schools. So before I pass this on, and this actually I've been nagging at me all day long, but I'm gonna speak my piece here, and either I'm on an island about it, or people agree with me, but I'm on the fence about this one here, okay? Because on one end, yeah, the rules need to change because there's an obvious double standard, and when it comes to sports, you can't let double standards ride. You have to make everything across the board, just like you said on the last topic, Scott. You got to make it like across the board, right?
Exactly.
So, with that being said, 25 yellow cards, that is an undisciplined team. That falls on you, coach. Okay.
Mhm.
So last night I watched a video on YouTube. It was like the NFL's like ugliest wins, right? And in recent history, I think it was like 6 years ago, there was a Raiders at Bucks game. The Raiders committed 23 penalties, which was an NFL record. The crazy part about it, the funny part is they still won the game in overtime. But any one of us on this panel, we watch an NFL game and it's like, wow, 10, 15 penalties, that team is undisciplined. Typically they should lose that game, right? So,
True.
two things can be true here. The double standard needs to be fixed, but also the coach could stand to discipline his team. And what further drives my point home is the coaches knew about the rule going into the season, and they even grew concerned because just 10 games into the season, they already accrued 15 yellow cards. That was the time to sit your team down, coach. But
Yep.
I digress. I mean, I'm going to pass it on to Scott and get your thoughts on this topic.
Well, my thoughts are, number one, yellow cards are what they are. It means people are complaining a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Sometimes you wonder, are they complaining too much? And at some point or another, when do the officials who are out there draw the line? I don't care if you're public schools or private schools, it doesn't matter with me. Soccer, to me, you just see a lot of that type of behavior. So we want to compare public, private. At what point is an official going to be sick and tired of all this complaining? And at what point, you're right, I think the coaches have to be accountable. Hey, you know what? I understand it. A coach's objective is to have your back.
Right.
Okay. But there comes a point that you have to instill in your players. You need to make sure they always say, don't let them see you sweat, right? Well, for every yellow card you're getting, you're sweating and you're hurting yourself. So I don't know what kind of standards you want to say from that. Just, pick your time to get your yellow instead of all the time, because, we've seen it in the NBA. Draymond Green, you have your limits. Rasheed Wallace was your technical foul king, okay? Some of these guys knew how to get in their heads, and they were going to get nailed based on reputation. So, I understand where you're going with the whole thing. I just think that coaches must relay to their players that you have to pick your spots and show a degree of restraint when you're going at an official. Remember, these guys aren't getting paid six figures out here either. I don't know what they're getting paid, but they don't have to continuously deal with this all the time. And as individuals, they have to draw the line.
Yeah, no, I agree. And you know what? That was a great point bringing up Rasheed Wallace and Draymond Green. So, of course, y'all two being the biggest Pistons fans I know. During the bad boy era,
I disagree. I'm not a fan. I'm a writer. I'm supposed to be objective, man.
Oh, well, that's true.
When he retires, he can
in your past life, you were a fan before your transformation. How about that?
That's much better.
There we go.
All right, proceed.
Be careful with saying transformation now. They might get the wrong idea.
Remember, I got a book coming out here. And
Jacob, they are not for this show. the way this show is built, they are not for the show. I would tell them, don't watch. Don't do it because it's not for you. You know. But my question is during the Pistons bad boy era, there was that one guy that was just like a technical foul magnet. You know what I mean? It could have been Lambeer. It could have been
Rick Mahorn.
Dennis Rodman. Yeah, pretty much the whole squad, really. But it does bring up, because Scott brought up a great point. When you are a technical foul magnet, if you're a penalty magnet, it is true. The referees tend to target you. They may not call you for no reason, but you think they don't get together before the game and say, hey, number 53 over there, that guy's known for being a little rough around the edges. You might want to watch him.
You ever heard of the word called reputation?
Yep, that too.
Good. Then you know what I would do for all those people in the printing business, okay? 38, 36, 48 point reputation. Look it up.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. And so with that said, and all things talked about so far, George, let's get your thoughts on this right here.
That's an awful lot of yellow cards. That's all I can say. Again, whether it's public or private, to me, it doesn't matter. It has to be consistent. The refereeing, the officiating should be consistent as well. I find that a lot of times in soccer, these guys are diving. They're faking these injuries too much. I mean, again, who am I to talk? Because I don't play the sport, nor did I ever play it. But I've been a fan at a distance. Here in Detroit, we had a team called the Detroit Express, and I covered them quite a bit. But I got to tell you this, that, they're like Scott alluded to, there is something to that fact that, watch out for number 50-something. He does this a lot or something like that. So the officiating sometimes does get a little bit biased in that regard. But the thing is that you are being taught and you are being preached to, like you guys were saying, from your head coach and your coaching staff, that you shouldn't be doing such and such. It can bring a yellow card. It can bring a foul. Not to mention the language. And some of the yellow cards I know are for swearing and cussing and trying to raise your voice to an official, which obviously we should never do on the pitch, on the playing surface, the field, ice hockey rink, wherever we are. But people do get away with that. But the thing of it is, I agree, whether it's public or private, I don't think that the officials would go down that road. At least I hope not. Let's pick on the Christian kids today now at that private school. Or let's pick on the Jewish kids over here tomorrow when we play them. No, I mean, I hope that stuff's not going on.
Yeah.
But that is a sign that there is a problem, okay? Whether it's a problem with the officiating or a combination of the officiating and the players to draw that many yellow cards, the coaches have to step in, you're right, and teach discipline, teach self-control, and that's the key.
Yes, because at the end of the day, don't give them a reason. Don't give the referees any ammunition, like whenever one's addressing you, don't get aggressive or anything like that, like you be respectful to them and everything.
Right.
You mentioned the whole cussing thing and you get to the pros. Okay, you're grown. It is what it is. But it's end of the day, before college, high school, middle school, and I mean, you're still kids, you have to hold that same line of discipline. I just looked at this topic and I was like, you know what? This just has the coach. There is a double standard, a clear double standard, but the coach should be telling them, don't give them any room, But lastly, I want to go to Jacob here and get your thoughts about this.
There's one thing I love about our show is you saw this earlier today, George, with what I put on my pin on the Twitter. You liked on it. I say we will talk about things the ESPN wouldn't want to do, and they won't say. We will call double standards on everyone. Everybody. We have done conservative and liberal. We have given everybody the deal. Everyone, which that is what ESPN would not want. Now I'm going to bring this part. You are all correct that is too many yellow cards. Your discipline is terrible. You're all correct on this, but this is where my thing goes, with my part of the subject is this has now become political because they had a school called Payatone High School, basically a public school, who's basically had their 25 cards that they had there. I think this was last year, maybe 2 years ago. They self-reported, but they got to stay. They got to stay in. Brother Rice, Catholic school. Nope. They did theirs. No, didn't allow them. You have now, they're allowed. The thing about this is when you call double standards, you get an ESPN, they're calling double standard on one thing. It might be white on black. It might be Christian atheist. It might be anything. But it's always on things that they agree with to not. Mm-hmm. I'm going on everywhere. It's like if I'm going to go for this may look like I'm going to go for the rich kids. If this is the case here, yes, I am. But I've never, because guess what? Just because you got wealth doesn't mean you don't belong to be fair. And this has become, we deal with Illinois right now. It is J.B. Pritzker, someone who is absolutely trying to strengthen the school unions, the unions in Illinois. He is absolutely hateful toward private schools. A lot of these type of things, there's probably money. I'm not saying he's doing it on a personal thing, but there's probably money involved in something like this. He's like, so the thing is, you probably have to be careful with your yellow cards and you doing something like this. But no, it isn't fair. And just because they're wealthy white kids or wealthy kids in general doesn't mean that they shouldn't have the fairness. Oh, they've had fairness all their life. I don't care. It's like, if we're going to teach everyone, including the poor, that everybody deserves fairness, you can't just do it. You can't just screw somebody else that you don't agree with, because that side will screw right back and they'll go right to the poor. Yeah. It'll go right to them again. This is why I fight all the time to let's quit the idea of racial and saying that all of the everything that they do and we announce it and everything and call them human. Right. Remember what I say, call them human. And it's like, I know what you're saying, but there's a reason I do this, is because I'm trying to get everybody's attention to quit this whole thing, because there are going to be white people that have the George Wallace mindset of trying to screw. And the minute they take power, there's still 73% white in the United States.
Correct.
You keep pulling this stunt and you're going to get a George Wallace like, and it isn't Trump. He couldn't care that. In truth, he couldn't care less about anything but money. I'm talking about there's going to be others out there that are going to act like that, and then it's going to get worse. And this is why I tried to get everybody to the habit, using a platform to get to the habit. We're all human. We give everybody a dream, because it can get a whole lot worse when you're making the wrong people angry.
Yeah, a whole lot worse. Everyone starts off with a dream, and they deserve to have a fair shot to achieve that dream. Now, if the talent's not there, that's something, okay, we can accept. Okay. Like, it just wasn't for you. You gave it your all, but I'm sure you're great at something else. Go find it. Okay. If they have the talent, but then they just can't stay out of legal trouble. We see it all the time. Waste of talent, right? That's another thing. But everyone deserves to, start and get a fair shot to move up to the top and everything. So with that being said,
I just want to say this real quickly, and that's the thing. Now we're going to go with this. Let's all in our life let's teach every single person fairness. Everybody, man, woman, everything. Kiming got her chance. I didn't think it was fair that she's gone, but I love that she's going after the thing. So let's get into this right now. Let's make it a habit for everyone.
Yeah, if we go through our other things, Kiming, a fair chance, and then even at the adderall topic, like, it's got to be across the board. Either you're going to legalize it or you're not, but fair chance across the board. But with that being said, we'll go on to our Pundit points. We're at about a 44-minute mark at the show. Pundit points. We're doing it at the end here. I guess it's kind of our a parting shot, I guess. But I'm going to go here. And so just the other day, there was a report that was filed. Terrell Owens was hit by a car following a dispute at a basketball game on the basketball court. He sent out a tweet saying he was just fine. And he said there was no crucial injuries. Apparently, with the dispute, the man drove his car into Owens' knee, and a report was filed for assault with a deadly weapon. It's not that serious. Come on now. It's a basketball game. It's a pickup game. You know, you got to be an unhinged character to try to run somebody over a pickup game that none of you are getting paid for. None of this is on television or anything like that. And then come on, man, it's Terrell Owens. Like, are you serious? It's T.O. DTO, like the third leading receiver in NFL history, Hall of Famer. How you gonna try to take his knee out? Like, that's stupid. But no, I hope this guy is caught, and I hope justice is served. Fortunately for T.O., he wasn't seriously injured or anything like that. So great on him. But y'all, come on. It's not that serious. It's a pickup game. A pickup game. No one's getting insulted. Everyone's having a good time and whatnot. So, like, just curb the attitudes and everything. And I understand we're men, okay? We get out there and stuff can get a little, physical and whatnot. And, it's a game and we got a lot of egos on the line. But again, nothing huge is on the line, okay? The same people are going to be out there playing basketball like the next week, wherever he was at, So, but no, hopefully he does get justice for this. And I'll swing it over to George and get your pundit point.
Well, my pundit point is something that I became aware of last spring. During the NBA playoffs, one of the leading referees in the league, Eric Lewis, was all of a sudden missing. And reports came out that he had set up a burner account or whatever they call those fake accounts on Twitter. And he tried to act like he was pro NBA referees, challenging comments that maybe a coach or a player said. He would respond to them in a disguise, even though he's one of the top officials in the NBA. Well, come to find out, he was not only suspended or taken off the job in the conference finals, he lost the NBA finals too, which he had been in for several years in a row. Eric Lewis, a proud man, over 25 years as an NBA official. Why does he have to be treated? And by the way, he's not welcome to return anymore. So quietly, he submitted his resignation.
Wow.
So quietly, huh? Well, I'm telling you what, this deserves a little bit more chit chat. Okay. And again, we all know the media is not out there to report this kind of stuff. Maybe they figure they're going to alienate the NBA somehow. But here we go. One of the best officials in the league. I'm just saying, okay, you give suspensions out several games, maybe a lot of games. If you do something really stupid, like hit your spouse or hit your girlfriend, you deserve a lot of games, of course, for that. But you do not deserve to treat this man, Eric Lewis, and end his career as an NBA official. Okay? He admitted his mistake. He set up this fake account. He was sorry he did it. That wasn't enough for you, Mr. Silver, was it? Well, I'm sorry. You blew it. And you lost a really good man here. And I'm sure you alienated the whole majority of the NBA officials, too. But that was not a story that should be swept under the rug. And nobody's really tackled it. But I got inside information on this. And that was bad, the way he was treated and forced to resign.
Yeah. It's going to happen. And this is where I think about what the Miles guy that was hit for. We actually on last year on Pundit, and Jen was on the show and we covered this topic. And he was on the Hornets and he actually got, charged with domestic violence. And then
Bridges.
Yes, Miles Bridges.
Yeah.
And then they ended up bringing this man back and he got signed to some money. Where was Adam Silver then? But this guy just goes on Twitter and corrects a couple of other coaches and it costs him his job. And you'll see it. It happens every season. A player is going to get into something where he'll only get a couple of games or like 20 games. And then for a much worse offense, mind you, Yeah. You might get arrested beating somebody up outside the club or something like that, right? But yet Mr. Lewis lost his job just for going on Twitter and correcting a couple of coaches, I'm not agreeing with his actions. I'm just saying, just like the last topic and all the other ones, you got to make it fair across the board. This is a well-respected official, the top one in the league, you say.
Yeah.
And yet he's being let go for this. Top
Yeah.
five. Yeah. One of the top pitchers in the league. Top five. And he's actually being let go for this. Like, I don't understand it. But Scott, on you. Pundit point. Go.
All right. Well, you know what? Here's the thing. Okay. The Philadelphia 76ers have to do everybody in the NBA a favor. After all, you made idiots out of yourself by tanking to get the top picks, and only one of them has panned out. Once and for all, you need to let James Harden stay home and not collect a penny.
I do it.
That way we could go out there and put James Harden in the Latrell Sprewell conversation. Oh, my goodness. Let's do it. James, you know what? You can call anybody a liar that you want. You want to call Daryl Morey a liar? Do it, okay? I don't really particularly care. Remember, though, you played your way out of Houston. You played yourself out of Brooklyn, right? And now you're on the verge of forcing your way out of Philadelphia. There comes a point where nobody will want you, okay? But then again, if nobody in the NBA wants you, you can always go to China. You could go somewhere else. In fact, you know what, James Harden? I got a better place for you, okay? Go to Iceland. That way the NBA can freeze you out of this league because you don't belong in it. $36 million, not enough. Oh, I really feel bad. Go to LA where you want to go with the Clippers. And if you've ever been to LA, and I have been there a lot of times, look at all the homeless people out there looking for a little bit of money to survive every day. That's depressing. But James, I'm sick and tired of you. But since this is Pundit, the magazine show, the creator, Mr. Pundit, look at Jacob. Let's see what he has a follow-up for this one, okay? But the reality of the situation, James, get out of here. Nobody needs you, okay? Stay home. Don't collect a paycheck. But guess what? I don't think anybody on this panel or a lot of places are going to feel sorry for you. And if the Clippers had any sense at all, you don't go out there and give the Sixers what they want. The Sixers should just let them stay home. $36 million into bad living if you can make it. And I know that when he re-signed for one more year, thinking that he was going to get traded, when he gave up $9 or $10 million, I think he was supposed to get over $40 million. Well, whatever those facts are, it doesn't make any difference because you're calling Daryl Morey a liar. But James, take the year off. And while you're doing it, good riddance.
Absolutely. As soon as the point started, I was like, I know where he's going. And he absolutely launched on it. Justified in every single statement. Well, we have a few minutes left in the show. So for the close out. Sorry. Jacob, on you. Your pundit point.
Yeah. The pundit point without the pundit. That's a funny one. No. All right. Let me say this. And by the way, $36 million they can make, not bad. $20 million would go to Peaches and Cream over at the strip club. But no, here's the thing with this. We were talking about Kiming earlier, and I give her all the credit in the world for getting out at Miami. The reason, like I said before, is this isn't the era where you're just thankful you got this opportunity. Well, I'm the woman. I'm a black coach. I'm all this now. The thing is, you're looking at someone like Caleb Williams, who literally is saying, do I have to agree with it? No. We're in a changed world. He wants to have a partial ownership of the team that takes him in the draft. And do I agree with it? No. It's especially if he just said it right after a 3-interception game in Notre Dame. So it's not necessarily the greatest idea, but this is where it is. This is the messy world, the Lionel Messi world that we're talking about. It's you want more than the cash. Cash means nothing. They did this a couple of times with Lawrence with crypto, with his bonus being in crypto before that went to hell. If you get my point. They're all looking for something that's investable, which is a good thing because it means we'll have less of a 30 for 30 broke. And the thing is, if this would hurt his draft stock or if this would hurt his chances of anything, you want to know where this can lead, don't you? The XFL/USFL type of thing, going in there and he'd be the star. Because I'm sure The Rock or whoever there would give him a partial ownership of something.
Yeah.
I'm sure they would. I mean, it's a smaller one. You know what I'm saying? So those are the things. It's like I'm sure that they would do that. So there's that. And I will tell you this. This is the new world we live in. We have to accept it. We can't complain about it. Let's work around it.
Well said.
Absolutely.
And you know what's so well said about it? It coincides with the title of the show. Does common sense exist anymore? So we can cap off your pundit's point with that title, because when you want to watch the show again, okay, then you get to go out there and go back to the title. So we only have about a minute and a half left to go. So here we are. We're ready to roll. Everybody, let everybody know how you can get a hold of us. We'll start off with George.
Yeah, I've got a book out there, Detroit Sports Broadcasters on the Air. There's a link to purchase the book if anybody's interested. You can reach me at gicorn@yahoo.com. Also on Twitter at sandgsports99. And you can follow me, of course, on Inside the Pigskin and 108 Stitches, Sports Exchange, and this wonderful show, Pundit's Pundit, and Fire Up, and all these great shows on the South Florida Tribune Network. And you can read me, too, under the Motor City Tribune, which is under the South Florida Tribune on our website.
All right, Denzel.
Oh, real quick. Gauntlet on Fridays, Gauntlet picked off Wednesdays, as well as Confidential, Pundit's Pundit Thursdays, and Top Rope Talk Mondays.
Okay, Jacob.
Jake the Pundit on Twitter, Jake the Pundit 1 on TikTok, Jacob Christner on Facebook, Jake the Pundit on Instagram, all those type of things. Also on Patreon, also on Ricochet and Substack, and with the South Florida Tribune. I'm going to be on that website. I do writings once a week. And all that kind of stuff going on, plus a bunch of shows that you may never seen me before. Who knows?
Well done. Okay. Well, for the last time, in case you're just joining us, just, Pundit's Pundit is being broadcast around the world. The audio version of Pundit's Pundit can be heard on iHeartRadio, Apple, Spotify, Google, wherever you get your podcast. Please hit the red subscribe button on YouTube, South Florida Tribune. We're striving for 1,000 subscribers. Please also comment, like, and share the broadcast. Want to be a guest? Active chat room tonight. Great stuff. Feel free to do it that way, or send your topic ideas to southfloridatribune@gmail.com. If you want to advertise cost efficiently, call me at 954-304-4941. We broadcast live on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and YouTube. Website, www.southfloridatribune.com. Twitter @TribuneSouth. Candy Ebling's behind the scenes. And stay tuned. My media book is called Lessons from the Microphone, Tuning into the Enduring Wisdom of Visionary Leaders. Great job by the crew tonight. And we look forward to seeing you on next Thursday's edition of Pundit's Pundit. Thank you very much for joining us, and have yourself a great weekend. Bye now.